So let's start talking about auditing your Facebook ads. I am going to focus in now on about 4 or 5 key performance indicators that I usually zero in on. And I've made this really, really easy for you. I've created an automated Excel tool that you can export your data from Facebook, plug it in, and it's going to give you some feedback on what some things to consider in terms of improving your campaign. I typically, by default, first look at performance and clicks. And this gives me a whole bunch of metrics and data that are highly relevant, are key performance indicators. One that's not included in this tool, but is a very important one, is your relevance score. Your relevance score is made up of all kinds of factors. This focuses in on your frequency, on your cost per result, your CPM, your cost per 1,000 impressions, which is ultimately what Facebook bills you for. So that's obviously a core metric and something that you want to set a target for. Your click-through rate all and your cost per click all. So, again, how many people, what is the rate that you expect, the percentage rate that you expect of the people who are going to see your ad? What's the likelihood they're going to click through to the page that you're driving that traffic to? And ultimately, what is the cost per that click? And this assumes, of course, that you have set some targets. So you set your targets in down here. So let's have a look at how you would go and get your data from Facebook. So what you would do is simply go over to make sure that you're in performance and clicks. I'm going to go over to reports, and I am going to export table data. And now you can click the format, XLS or CSV. Usually I just go with CSV. Make sure that you include the summary row, because that's ultimately the overall value. And then you're going to click export, and it's going to process that. I've already downloaded it, so I'll have you show you what that's going to give you is a document that looks like this. So you've got here's all your headers. Here's your summary row, and I'm going to come over here and I'm going to just drag all of this data, copy it, and now I'm going to go back over into my tool. And right here where it says summary row, right in the far corner, I'm going to paste that. Often what I tend to do, just to be cautious, is I right click, and then as my paste options, I just say put in the values. So that copies that in there, and right immediately now it's going to say, okay, actually everything is okay in terms of the results that you've set. Again, the cost per result was taken in now, so otherwise that would have been blank, and that would have been 0, and then you'd have to do that formula in there. And it's identifying a few specific ads, saying, oh, okay, we're seeing an issue with that. So you can look on the specific ad issue on the ad level, and then on a summary basis. And this is just pulling in those values from the top. And it's also visualizing down here what are your targets, and then how you are comparing relative to those targets. So let's just show you, though, the impact, and explain quickly, what would happen if these are off and what the issues are. Well, now it's suggesting that I add a retargeting stack. So what that means is, okay, let's add a different ad, some different strategy, so that everybody who has seen that ad, now instead of seeing this ad, they're going to be thrown into this retargeting stack and try and view this different ad, this different strategy. And we're going to see whether that one is more effective for them if they haven't taken any action on that retargeting stack. If I were to say that my target was only, $5 per 1,000 impressions, and again, that throws that into red. Down here at the bottom, it's saying, okay, well, here are a few things to consider. Are you perhaps targeting a competitive audience? And so your ads are being thrown up against a lot of competitors with maybe greater budget, and so you're not being shown unless you spend a little higher. And so as a result, that could be something to consider. It could be that you don't have enough social proof, and so that's why we often encourage people to start with a page post engagement campaign just to get a little bit of social proof, some views, some comments, some likes, some shares, etc. That simply just serves as social proof that this is a valid ad campaign. Another thing to consider maybe is that, is this a product or service? Does it operate seasonally, and are you maybe advertising at the wrong time of year? And then, and finally, also related to your social proof is positive versus negative feedback. If your ad maybe has a lot of negative feedback, that's going to drive your cost for impression. Facebook's going to say, a lot of people don't like this, I'm less likely to show it. Let's say again that you had set a higher target for that, for a higher click-through rate. Well, what are the issues with a click-through rate? What are the things that you might want to look at? Well, one is your targeting. Are you targeting the right audience? And do you have the right mix? If it's not a targeting issue, if you feel comfortable with that your audience, that the people that you're targeting is the correct match as buyers, then you might want to start considering, is there a problem with your creative? Is it compelling enough? Is it grabbing their attention right away? Is it compelling? Is it speaking to their pain points? For some reason, people are not clicking through relative to what your objectives are. So you want to maybe look at those issues. Those are often what the problem is. And now again, if I really wanted a ridiculously low cost per click, I said I only want to spend 5 cents per click, and now all of a sudden my calculator here is no longer satisfied. Well, often what we say is that that's usually an issue either with the graphic or again the copy. So it's usually a creative issue. Is it thumb stopping again? Is it or is it grabbing people's attention? So often we suggest, hey, either you want to really maybe try some really brighter images or try a video to grab their attention, and then retarget those video viewers, anybody who's, let's say, for example, watched more than 10 seconds of your video. So if everything was in the red and an issue, it's going to give you some considerations down here in the tool, and all you have to do is just plug that in. So again, those are just some of the core metrics. Again, as I said, don't forget your relevancy score. Again, that relates to your schema, your microdata, and your metadata, your meta tags, the consistency of your copy, all kinds of factors, as I mentioned off at the top.